Today we're going to be talking about James Gunn and the DCU Batman. Although we're predominantly a DC channel, I am interested in all forms of television and entertainment news. So if you want to know my reaction to the Wizard of Oz reboot by Amazon MGM and the Cobra Kai boys writing and directing a Knight Rider movie, stick to the end of the video. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends, wives, and especially your boyfriends and your husbands. A very warm welcome to Wednesday's edition of the DCU Daily. Sometimes I'm astounded by modern day entertainment. I really am. And James Gunn coming out and saying that really he has no clue what he's doing with the DCU Batman tells me everything I need to know. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X, Snapchat BMouth60 and TikTok Mad Mickey's World because I'm a little bit of a nutter. So yes, James Gunn yesterday, I don't know if it was on Threads or with an official interview, basically said he's still looking in to the DCU Batman. But a few months ago, he said, when he kind of dragged the world's press along to tell them that he was basically backfiring and backpedaling on most of the things he announced, he said he had a secret writer on Brave and the Bold. Now, a few months ago, I exclusively revealed on this channel that Brave and the Bold wasn't going forward at DC Studios. As usual, I was called the usual names, disrespected. Who are you? No one watches your channel, nobody cares. You're wrong. Well, it looks like I'm right. Because where is Brave and the Bold? It's nowhere. It's not happening. The man has absolutely just admitted that he has no plan for his DCU Batman. The only part we've ever seen of his DCU Batman is in his animated series, Creature Commandos, when we saw a shadow of Batman. And that's as close as we've become. There is no DCU Batman. And here's the reality, everyone. We may never, ever get to see a DCU Batman. It's not happening. And if I was a fan, and I am a fan, by the way, of Matt Reeves' The Batman franchise, his words would echo and worry me. Worry me. Because we all know what this could mean. That Reeves, the Pattinson Batman, could actually end up being the DCU Batman. The Batman 2 is a very, very curious situation. Now, it's got so many chapters to it, this situation. Gunn has admitted he's tried to persuade Reeves to bring his universe, his Batman crime saga over to the DCU and merge it. And Reeves has so far resisted as far as we know. But there have been bigger issues than that. We know the Penguin TV series story arc was originally part of the Batman 2 script. They extracted that and put it in the TV series just to, help the limping HBO Max or whatever they're fucking calling it today. Surely by taking that story out of the Batman 2 script, he's had to force feed another story into it, and surely that's going to hurt the movie. So that's terrible to me as well. So if the Batman 2 is anywhere near on the level of the Batman, I'm very excited for it, but I'm worried, everyone, for the Batman 2. Because Gunn wasn't in charge of DC when the Batman was being written, when it was being filmed. Now they have this structure where Gunn has to read everything. And I asked the question, if the Batman 2 is part of the DC Elseworlds, what the fuck has it got to do with James Gunn? This worries me that he's going to give Matt Reeves notes. If I hear that he's given Matt Reeves notes, I'm going to blow a fucking fuse. But let me me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think this is good? Let's be honest about this, right? He's basically admitting he hasn't got a plan for the DCU Batman. Because here's another truth. James Gunn pulled the Gods and Monsters arc out of his arse. He pulled Brave and the Bold out of his arse. He pulled Swamp Thing out of his fucking arse, right? He pulled every fucking title he announced under the chapter 1 of the DCU out of his fucking arse. That's the truth. There was never ever any Gods and Monsters. Now he's diverting to his Super Saga. And the only reason he's diverting to his Super Saga is because Superman, when it's all said and done, would have made 620 to 625 million, which is solid box office, but not profitable. So basically, this is a mess. It's a mess, everyone. Forget about the Superman box office. That's not why. This is a mess. Man of Steel made 668 million, or around that. The studio weren't happy with that, and then they said, let's force Batman into this. And then the biggest mistake they made, with Nolan and Goyer involved in Man of Steel, was saying, we don't want Christian Bale's Batman involved. Imagine if Christian Bale's Batman was the Batman of the DCEU. Makes sense, right? With Nolan and Goyer there. In fact, the DCEU should have been a continuation of Nolan's Dark Knight fucking trilogy. It made absolute sense. But again, we've got the same situation. Again, like Nolan's trilogy was an existing franchise and they were toing and froing whether that should be involved in the DCEU, we've got the same fucking situation here. Is Matt Reeves the Batman crime saga part of the DCU? Will Robert Pattinson be the DCU Batman? Are they going to cast a DCU Batman? We don't fucking know. And as I say, even Gunn has admitted that he's had discussions with Reeves. Now, as I've said many times, to be fair to Gunn, he came in and took over a shit show in the sense that there was an existing Batman. So how can you introduce another Batman in a connected universe? Because there should never have been a new DCU, a new connected universe. As I say every day, Gunn should have had his corner. Different directors and creators should have had their corners. They should have made one DC movie every 2 to 3 years. That's why we've got this fatigue now. The MCU were making 4 to 5 movies and putting them out there a year. Then the DCEU started doing 3 to 4 movies a year. It is too fucking much. And it's all part of their fucking greed. And now we're hearing that James Gunn doesn't have a plan for the DCU. And if you've seen Superman, you can tell there was never a plan for the DCU. And him having a text with Gods and Monsters on it doesn't mean he had a plan for Gods and Monsters. Has he even mentioned Gods and Monsters since Superman's come out? Maybe once. There's no Gods and Monsters. There's no Gods and Monsters. It was never a reality. Those titles were bullshit. The whole thing was bullshit. James Gunn doesn't live off oxygen. He lives off bullshit. There is no fucking plan. No plan. No plan whatsoever. And to have the co-CEO of DC Studios come out and say he has no fucking plan blows my fucking mind. But this is the era of New Hollywood. They have no plans. Have they? They don't know what they're doing. And that brings me to my next point. If you want to hang around for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you my reaction to the Wizard of Oz reboot at Amazon MGM and the Cobra Kai boys writing, producing and directing a Knight Rider movie. So stay right here. As some of you may know, I am writing a movie script called Saving Judy Garland, a time-traveling adventure. I'm writing its sequel and also a time-traveling adventure, Saving Norma Jean, aka Marilyn Monroe. Judy Garland is a hero of mine. one of the most talented people to ever perform in Hollywood. The reason The Wizard of Oz was a great fucking movie is because of Judy Garland. And all the hard work the production team did, of course, and the wonderful other actors that were in it. But the energy and soul of that movie was a 16, 17-year-old Judy Garland. That still blows my fucking mind. We're talking about a movie that was made in 1938 and released in 1939. And I used to praise MGM for many years for not rebooting or reworking that movie. But now they've announced that they're going to do some kind of 5-episode TV series reboot on Amazon MGM and their streaming channel, right? Prime Video. If you think you can top what was done by the original movie, you're fucking mad. And we already know you are all, you man, are fucking mad. People, young people are watching the Judy Garland movie today. They love the Judy Garland movie. It doesn't matter if it was made in 1938 and it's slightly dated. Of course it's dated. It was made many, many decades ago. But it's a fucking classic. Ain't no one gonna fucking show up for your fucking remake. But you're so fucking creatively bankrupt. You're so fucking lazy, you can't come up with new ideas. You refuse to come up with new ideas. So let's reboot one of the greatest fucking achievements in Hollywood's 100-year-plus history, The Wizard of Oz. It's not going to be good. It's going to be crap. And who knows if it's going to be full of DEI and all that bullshit. But I'm not that kind of guy. I don't bore on about all of that. You know my opinion about that. But this is bullshit. There is no way that they can make a better remake than that film. And if you can't do better, what's the fucking point of doing it? Now we move on. Now I'm a big fan of Cobra Kai. The guys who made that show were amazing. Clearly fans of the Karate Kid franchise. Love those guys. They made it entertaining. They brought back all the original actors, original characters. It worked. It was brilliant. It lasted the time. And now it's over. Knight Rider was one of my favourite TV shows as a kid. I remember I used to have a TV gaming system that broke. I tied it on my grifter bike, and I used to pretend I was Kick the fucking Car with Michael Knight, driving Kick the Car. So the Cobra Kai boys are writing, producing and directing a Knight Rider movie for the big screen. I don't want to be negative about these boys because I like these boys. But I'm going to have to take a step back and wait and see about this. I want it to be great. Now, if they can do what they did with Cobra Kai, and I mean, I don't even know who's a fucking live now to be in that movie, to bring these people back. I mean, David Hasselhoff is still with us. He's got to be in his 70s, probably. I mean, he's had problems with alcohol. I don't know if he could cameo or something like that. I'm sure they will get him to play someone. Maybe he'll play Devon. I don't know. Us Knight Rider fans have been here before so many times. We had the 2000 show, we had the Knight Rider movie for TV, which I think was okay, but the Knight Rider show was something special, and it was beyond its time. To make a Knight Rider movie that's going to make money, that's going to interest people, is very, very difficult. First of all, who's going to be interested? You know, you're going to have to get people from my age range to go and watch it, parents taking their kids. There could be an audience for it, but it's very difficult. I forgot to mention the Knight Rider revival series that went on for a series. Now Val Kilmer was the best thing about that. He voiced the new kid. But unfortunately, we were in the era of the shippers. And again, like the Quantum Leap revival, they were too busy having every colour of the rainbow in that show that the leaps became the last thing that they were focusing on. The original Quantum Leap was about the leaps, but that wasn't, because they wanted to represent so many different people, you know, and cultures and parts of life. Now, this probably will be quite different because the boys who are making this are focused on pure entertainment. That's what they did with Cobra Kai. So, I'm not as angry about this as I am with The Wizard of Oz. Reboot, but we'll just have to wait and see.